Hi everyone, welcome to Beyond the Evidence. This is the channel where justice matters. My name is Marv. I am a true crime fanatic, and I love to dig deeper into the mysteries of unsolved cases. Join me as we search for missing persons, uncover the clues in unsolved murders, follow along with jury trials, and we'll be a voice for the voiceless. I'll share with you the facts, the theories, the clues, the evidence, and the controversies that surround these cases. This is Beyond the Evidence. Hey everybody, still trying to figure this out. 1 second. Andrea, no, I cannot see any comments at all. I know that we've got people commenting, but it says on mine, it says comments disabled or chat is disabled. I don't know why. So I cannot see anything that you guys are commenting. So we're going to have to do this without me seeing comments tonight. I can't play anything from Court TV or any other news syndicate, or I could get a copyright strike. It doesn't matter. I'm not talking about the little video, and I'm directing this to Andrea right now. I'm not talking about the little video with no audio. I'm talking about the whole Court TV thing that has the video on it. So I cannot do this in a regular live stream. So I'm going to have to just do this without seeing comments. I apologize. I'm not sure what's going on. I've set it up the same way as I always have. You guys just keep commenting as long as you can see each other's comments. That's all that matters. I got my messenger open. Okay, so we all know that recently Kentucky sheriff shot and killed a judge. Now, once this happened, I don't know what's going on, but there was rumors right off the bat. Okay, there was locals coming into and putting comments in that this had to do with the judge fooling around with the judge's daughter. Okay. So that ran rampant. And then all of a sudden, if you're a TikTok watcher like I am, it says, no, no, it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with this other deputy that was charged and convicted of sexually assaulting a prisoner in the judge's chamber. Okay. Well, let me tell you, they had a hearing, a pretrial hearing a few days ago, and it sounds like the rumors could be true. I don't know what's going on. Court TV doesn't copy strike. Are you absolutely sure that they don't copy strike? Because if they don't, I can turn this into a regular live so that I can see your comments. So I'm asking because Andrea said that Gibbo says Court TV doesn't copy strike. Because it would be much better if I could see what all of you are saying. Okay. Let me see if I can change this and if this will work. Oh my goodness, it did. I am going to leave and come back, and hopefully I can see all your comments here. Hang on. Okay, so I'm back. I can now see the comments on another screen. So let's see how this goes. Hopefully, we'll get this straightened out. Can everybody hear and see me? Woohoo, is that a good thing? No, I'm not on Members Mustang because something was wrong with the members only, so we opened it up to the public. Okay, so I changed it to public. I cannot see comments unless I'm on another screen, though. But at least I can see the comments. So give me 1 minute to get everything set up, and then we're going to start here because this has been crazy right from the start. Okay, so all of you know about the case. A lot of you had to have heard about the case of the Kentucky sheriff that went in and to the judge's chamber at the courthouse and unalived him. Pew-pewed him right there multiple times in the chamber. Okay? It's been crazy. So he did this. He left, went around to the front of the courthouse, went in, laid his gun down, and said that he did it. That he killed the judge. Okay? So, what happens? They arrest him, of course. But immediately, locals were getting on in the comments of other videos and posts about this and everything, and they were saying this was because he did this because the judge SA'd his daughter, his 17-year-old daughter. Now, if you're a TikTok follower like I am, you would have seen a preacher, a pastor, come on and say that he had permission from the wife and the daughter to absolutely say this was not true. Okay. Well, then we have this pretrial hearing. And this pretrial hearing is to determine whether he should be, what charges he should be brought on. Okay. Now I have a video here from Court TV that I'm going to share with everybody. And I'm going to let you know right here and right now, it does show this officer pew-pewing the judge. So we're going to watch this. It's called Sheriff Shoots Judge Case, the New Possible Motive. So let me present this. And I'm just getting my screens situated here, so 1 second. Because I got a couple different things up and I want to make sure that I can see your comments. Okay. And I have to make sure the audio's on. Can everybody see the screen? Right now it's black. Yes, Miranda. The sheriff thought the judge had essayed the daughter. But then what we were hearing is that no, this had nothing to do with the daughter. This had to do with the fact that a deputy was charged and convicted of essaying an inmate in the judge's chamber, and they were bringing a lawsuit against the sheriff stating that he did not train his employees properly. Okay, so you can see it. We're going to watch this together, and I'm going to stop it briefly so we can talk about it.
This is the town of Whitesburg in Letcher County, Kentucky. The locals call this part of the country Appalachia. It's a place where folks get to know each other because there just aren't a ton of people living here. That community gets even smaller when you talk about the criminal justice system. Public defenders can become prosecutors who can become judges. People who are related by marriage can be on opposing sides inside the courtroom. And people seem to get along with it and figure it all out. It's just the way things are. That's why no one suspected anything violent or dangerous was going to happen when the local judge, Kevin Mullins, and the sheriff, Mickey Steins, had a closed-door private meeting inside the judge's chambers.
Now, let me just say and preface this that the sheriff, Mickey Steins, and the judge have been very good friends. In fact, the sheriff was once a bailiff for the judge. Okay. So, very good friends. So, when this happened, it was shocking.
But what happened inside there, no one in this small town expected. The sheriff asking the judge for his phone, then making a call from that phone, then shooting and killing the judge.
So, now the information that I have after watching the hearing is that the sheriff went in there and sat down in front of the judge. Okay. And then the sheriff made a call from his phone to his daughter. He then asked the judge for his phone, and on the judge's phone made the same call to the daughter to see if she would pick up. Crazy. This is all in the hearing.
All of it was recorded on video. Sheriff Mickey Steins is now charged with first-degree murder after surrendering immediately afterwards. And now the community is finding out a lot more about what happened as the first court hearing takes place in Kentucky. Tonight, we'll show you exactly what happened in court and then break down the potential motive and what this trial will be all about as folks in Appalachia try to heal from this shocking courthouse shooting.
This bun curl is the reason I started my wavy hair journey. When I found pros,
Politan, thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. We learned a lot. We learned a lot today about the shooting of Judge Kevin Mullins.
We absolutely did.
First of all, what became very clear is that the judge knew he was going to die moments before he died.
Yes, he did, unfortunately.
That was crystal clear. He was apparently unarmed. The sheriff had a gun, and it was pointed right at the judge, and he started firing.
Now, I don't know if they're going to show the video or not. If not, I do have a video I can show you, but I will tell you this after watching this video. This man, this sheriff, shoots several times at this judge and then goes around the desk, and you can see the judge moving, trying to hide, and he shoots one more time, ending his life fatally.
The judge knew what was going to happen. He knew how it was going to end. The reason we know is there is shocking video of what happened inside the chambers. I'm going to show it to you in just a few moments. But the video is rolling. There's no audio. It's just video. But you can see everything that transpired inside the judge's chambers.
Now, I want to preface, I don't know particularly why, but I can tell you that the prosecution only chose to show these few seconds of this video. Okay? They failed to show you the whole interaction of him coming in, sitting down, talking to the judge, showing him calling on his phone, the sheriff's phone, making a phone call, then having the judge hand him his phone and making a phone call. That part is all cut out of this video. And the defense team made a crucial error in the preliminary trial, but once it gets into the trial phase, they can actually ask for the full video to be shown. But in this pre-trial, they did not. ask for the full video to be shown. Okay.
Now, it is kind of unusual to have a video camera in the judge's chambers, but other things have happened in that chambers that likely required it. Sexual assaults, not by the judge, by one of the sheriff's deputies inside those chambers. My guess is that's why they have a camera now. Probably didn't have it beforehand, but they have it now.
So Vinny's talking about the camera in the judge's chamber. What the Kentucky State police officer said in the hearing is that this judge did have a camera in his chambers. And from his understanding, that camera recorded video all of the time. Not just when somebody was in his chambers. Recorded all of the time. Now, is this because of what happened with that other deputy and SAing the inmate in his chambers? I don't know, but it's going all the time. There's no audio to it, but it is running all of the time, according to the Kentucky State police officer that testified in the pre-trial, this pre-hearing.
And it recorded everything that happened, which brings us back every time we do the story. Why?
Yeah, why?
Why would a sheriff, knowing that as soon as he does this, he's going to be locked up, knowing as soon as he does this, he'll be charged with murder, knowing as soon as he does this, he's facing the rest of his life in a potential death penalty sentence when he does this? He knows the law. So what we learned today is that those rumors that have been circulating on social media and all over Letcher County have some basis of truth to
yes,
them.
they do.
In answering the question why, it appears that moments before the shooting, the sheriff's daughter, her name, her phone number became part of all of this.
It absolutely
So
did.
it appears much clearer today that answering the why of this is somehow, some way connected to the sheriff's teenaged daughter. Now, I told you I was going to show you the video. I'm warning you, it's real. This is what happened. This is the prosecution's case, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm Eugene Vindman. I'm a Democrat running for Congress in.
It doesn't last long, but you can see the sheriff pointing the gun. You can see the judge in the corner trying to take cover, but it just doesn't happen. And then the sheriff exits. Once again, you can see right in that moment.
Now, this is after he's already.
The judge
shot at
knows
him
what's
3
about to happen.
times.
Now, we don't hear the conversation, so we don't know what's being said. But you can tell by the body
And
language.
you can see his foot moving.
You can tell by what we see in the video. So today was a preliminary hearing. Because he hasn't been indicted, within 10 days of arrest, the state, or the Commonwealth in this case, is required to put some evidence in front of a judge to prove that there's probable cause to send this case up to the circuit court. So that video pretty much is the prosecution's case. Like, that was the sheriff. Here's the video of what he did.
And like you said, in this preliminary, they're just doing probable cause to show that the sheriff should go on trial. By that video, absolutely, he should be going on trial. Now, is first-degree murder the correct charge? because Kentucky has some special rules, and I'm hoping Vinny goes into this.
And we have evidence that the judge is dead, requiring probable cause for the elements of the crime. Very quick.
Right.
What was more, I'm not going to say interesting, but what was more probative of trying to unwrap and uncover why this is happening came through the cross-examination of Clayton Stamper, who is a detective from the Kentucky State Police. He is the case agent. He is the one who is leading this investigation. Take a listen to some of these details wrapped around the why of it and what the rest of the story is. Take a listen.
It's my understanding that video lasted much longer, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And have you had an opportunity to review the video
I have.
of the prior incident?
I have.
And can you describe for us what happened immediately prior to the clip that we saw?
Sheriff Steins uses his telephone to make some phone calls. He then borrows Judge Mullen's cell phone and appears to make a call on that. And that led to what you just saw.
Okay, so that's important. Okay, when you're trying to figure out what is the right charge. And the reason the defense is going to ask all of these questions, and hopefully they'll show it at the end, it's because in Kentucky there is a special charge. If this was in the heat of the moment, due to the fact that this sheriff thought that this judge was going to harm or had harmed his daughter or family member, they can't charge him with first-degree murder. It's another charge. And I'll get that information for you while we're watching this. So all of these questions that the defense attorney is asking is for a specific reason.
Okay. So it's my understanding there were some people who were having a meeting with Judge Mullins prior to the sheriff's entry into the chambers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Have you identified those witnesses?
I don't know the names of them. There's about approximately 4 people in there. Then Sheriff Steins enters the judge's chambers and everybody else clears out.
Once the 4 people that were inside, that we don't know their names, once these 4 people had left the chambers, were they in an area adjacent where they could hear anything that was going on?
Yes, I believe some of them did remain in the next room.
Okay.
Ready to start eating healthier? Meet Kachava.
What did they tell us?
Do I?
What did they hear?
I've not been part. I wasn't part of those interviews.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, you're prepared for a preliminary hearing on a murder, and there are witnesses in an adjacent room.
I mean, they heard
Can I put
gunshots.
my question, please?
Yeah, let you ask the question.
Thank you, officer. So you are investigating a murder and testifying in a preliminary hearing, and there are witnesses who may have overheard what preceded this edited clip, yet you can't tell us today anything that they said?
I've not personally listened to those interviews. I've talked to the other officers that did those interviews.
Fair enough. And I mean, we're here at a preliminary hearing, as you know, that you can testify to hearsay. I'm asking you what they said.
They heard gunshots.
Okay. Was there any statements that they overheard?
No.
Were there raised voices?
There, one person stated that she didn't recognize him as being Judge Mullen's voice, but heard somebody say, "Help, help."
Of course, your investigation, did you ascertain that prior in the day there had been a lunch meeting between Sheriff Steins and Judge Mullins?
There was.
Pardon?
There was.
Okay. Sorry, I couldn't hear your response. I wasn't being trite. So where did this take place?
It's a restaurant called Street Side, and it's just down the street from the courthouse.
All right, I'm going to pause here for a minute. Pay close attention to this part because this guy gets himself into some little hot water later because of this.
Okay. And it's my understanding there were a couple of other people who attended the luncheon.
There were several, yes.
Okay. And at some point after that, they wrapped up lunch and left, obviously, and went back to the courthouse. Are you aware of anything so far in your investigation that would tell us there was any issues at lunch between Judge
No,
Mullins and Sheriff Steins?
no,
Okay, so that's the important question. Were you aware of any issues that took place during the lunch with Steins and the judge? His answer was no.
But someone on behalf of the KSB has spoken to those witnesses?
yes, they've all been interviewed.
And there was nothing unusual that had arisen during that luncheon?
I was told that the judge made a statement to Mickey about, do we need to meet private in my chambers?
You need to meet
That's all I was
privately.
told.
Do you know the context of
I do not.
what the conversation was before that they would need to discuss in chambers?
I do not.
So it's my understanding that in the larger portion of the video that we haven't had access to, that there is a point when Sheriff Steins asked for to see the telephone of Judge Mullins.
Yes,
Is that a yes?
yes,
Yes, okay. And I would presume that you and the other officers you mentioned, when you secured the scene, that you secured those phones as well. Is that correct?
yes.
And have you reviewed both of those phones?
They're currently at the forensic lab at this time being downloaded. I have had discussions with the people at the lab regarding the downloads.
Based upon your conversations with the officers, are you aware of any recent content that was up and could have been relevant at the time of their discussion?
I was told that Sheriff Steins had tried to call his daughter, and he had tried to call his daughter from the judge's phone also.
Have officers confirmed that the sheriff's daughter's phone number was on Judge Mullins' phone?
Yes, I believe so,
So
yes.
that number had been called from Judge Mullins' phone.
Okay, so that's important also. Why was the minor child of the sheriff, his daughter, why was her phone number on the judge's contact list in his phone?
Is
Yes,
that correct?
yes.
There's your case. There's what this is going to be all about. Why is the sheriff's daughter's phone number on the judge's phone?
Yes.
And what exactly is the nature of that connection? And is that, and it seems to somehow be related to the sheriff's daughter, the factor that made the sheriff do what he did? Like, he took these actions for a reason, knowing what the result would be. Big day in Kentucky. Court TV producer Cody Thomas on the case tonight, joining us live from West Liberty, Kentucky, where this was taking place, not in Letcher County. All right, Cody, let's start first. You were inside the courtroom. I saw you there. Describe what's happening in that courtroom. I'm interested in who was there, how they were reacting, interaction. Are the families there? Set the scene for us.
The families were there.
Well, of course, Vinny, the families of both parties were there. Judge Mullen's family sitting right behind the prosecution table. And of course, once that video played, that was the biggest moment of the day, just seeing, the point of death once Steins pulled that gun out and shot at Judge Mullins. And I can tell you, Vinny, as soon as that video played and the family saw that, there was maybe a quiet hush for 1 to 2 seconds before his family just burst into uncontrollable tears. There was lots of hugs, lots of consoling. And I want to let you listen to some of that raw emotion right now so you can fully get a grasp of that moment when they saw that video.
If you're happy and you know.
Okay, is that a portion of the video?
That had to have been
So, Vinny, you could really hear it right there, just that raw sadness, that detriment in those yelps and wails that came out of them. And of course, that wasn't the only thing that was talked about. You just mentioned it, the phones, the Steins' daughter's phone number in Judge Mullen's phone. That was a huge development in this hearing today, huge development in this case. There was no official word on the record about, again, the nature of that relationship, whether there was inappropriate or not. But again, a crucial piece of evidence for the state coming on the record to say that that number was in his phone.
Well, let me ask you, Cody, you mentioned the families. Does that mean that the sheriff's daughter also inside that courtroom today?
There were a bunch of people speckled on his side. There's more people on Judge Mullen's side, less people on the sheriff's side, but I did see two teenage girls sitting over there that did resemble his daughters, and they kind of sat there stoic, as did the sheriff when the video played. He didn't really have any emotion. He kind of just looked at it. He didn't look away. He just accepted it for what it was, and his family didn't hear any cries from that side of the courtroom, but I did see them holding each other, just kind of, again, accepting what was being shown to the court, as gruesome as it was.
Exactly.
What a moment. I can't imagine being that family. You're watching your loved one being executed, defenseless, cowering in the corner, trying to get some protection, trying to just get away, and unsuccessfully, obviously. Okay, let's get into some more of what we learned today. How about the sheriff? I know he knows he has the right to remain silent. He's learned that many, many, many years ago. What did he say after he was arrested, after he surrendered himself?
Listen to this.
Vinny, of course, we saw the lead investigator, Clayton Stamper, on the stand testifying today, giving all that evidence that came out of this hearing. He said that once Steins was arrested, they had a conversation, and Steins made a statement to him, asking him to just treat him fairly. But he also mentioned something about someone threatening to kidnap his wife and kids, which is interesting. Take a listen to this.
He was in custody when I arrived at the courthouse that afternoon. He was calm. He was kind of afraid that basically all he said was, treat me fair. That's basically the comments he made. I wasn't present, but when he was taken into custody, I was told by one of the other officers that were there that he made the comment, they're trying to kidnap my wife and
They're
kid.
trying to kidnap my wife and kid. What is that?
So, Vinny, of course, as you know, we still don't know an official on-the-record motive as to why Steins would have shot Judge Mullins, but after hearing the statement he made to the lead investigator, that could insinuate some sort of speculative motive in this case.
I'm looking at those. I wrote it down. They're trying to kidnap my wife and kid. We've been talking about this being personal. It doesn't get more personal than that. This is a man, this is his family, his wife and his daughter. That's it. You go on his Facebook page, that's what you see. You see pictures of the sheriff and his daughter and the sheriff and his wife and the daughter. That's what you see. That's his life. But this kidnapping is throwing me for a loop. Was there any other reaction from the courthouse from anyone about this kidnap? Like maybe other journalists covering it? Did anyone see this coming?
No, not the kidnapping part.
No one saw it coming. There wasn't any audible reaction as it was when the video was shown of the shooting, but you kind of saw some heads turning, just kind of as we're reacting. What's going on? Where did that come from? That was nothing that we'd heard about, not even in the rumor mill going around Letcher County. So it definitely threw everybody for a loop, and it definitely came out of nowhere once that was said on the witness stand by the lead investigator.
And
Yeah,
nothing
that's
else
right. It wasn't part of the rumors
after
that were floating around for weeks here. All right. How about the lunch meeting? To me, this is significant. There's something happening
Pay attention.
just before they get back to Chambers. They're going to lunch. That seems so innocent. What did we learn about the lunch meeting?
So, of course, Vinny, as the lead investigator said, they all went to lunch, multiple people, not just Steins and Mullins. And somewhere in that lunch, Mullins looked at Steins and said, as the investigator said, do we need to talk in private? And that's when they walked back to the courthouse. They went to the chambers, and everything following ensued. But the investigator did say something about another employee that worked in the office with Steins and Mullins, and they talked about collecting her phone and going through it because it allegedly had a text conversation about what was said during that lunch. Take a listen to this.
There was one other phone that's currently being examined, and the basic reason it was seized was there was a text conversation between Sheriff Steins and some of his employees with the sheriff's office.
Okay, and that was an additional phone of Sheriff Stein.
It was a phone of, I guess she's the, I don't know what her title is, but she's employed. She's not sworn. She's employed by the Letcher County Sheriff's Office. And she voluntarily gave her phone to the person that interviewed her.
Okay, and just out of
Not a plain
curiosity,
regular employee.
could you explain why that was relevant or germane to your investigation?
I didn't conduct that interview, but it was, I guess it was regarding the dinner at Streetside and things that led up to the shooting.
He doesn't
But
want to say
I don't
what
have
it
those
was.
results either, so I don't know exactly what was said.
And Vinny, as you just heard right there, no word on exactly what was said in those text conversations, but I'm sure that will be a bombshell piece of evidence once this case goes to trial. And ultimately, the judge did find probable cause, so it will be moving from district to circuit court. So a jury trial will be on the way.
Yep.
Wow, a lot of developments and still some unanswered questions tonight, things that need to be clarified, but we've learned a lot more. Cody on the case in Kentucky. Cody Thomas, thank you.
So the guy that was testifying kept trying to not answer those questions by stating he had not received the phone reports back. And the defense attorney kept telling him hearsay is allowed in this pre-hearing. So what were you told was in those conversations? It was like pulling teeth, trying to get this guy to say that the judge had the daughter's phone number on his phone and that Sheriff Stein did communicate with another employee about what was said at the lunch.
Thank you so much. All right. When we come back, we'll bring in our think tank and break down all this new information we've learned, plus coming up next hour.
Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigate.
Only on Court TV.
All right, I'm going to fast forward here a little bit.
Guys, you need better hair care. Pros is a personal,
because we want to hear what he has.
By the sheriff, a man he knows, purportedly a friend of his. They just had lunch together. But it's about the phone and what was on the phone, and that became much clearer today. Take a listen to the detective, the lead detective from the Kentucky State Police, here on cross-examination, revealing some facts that are pretty much connected to the rumors that have been circulating.
I was told that Sheriff Steins had tried to call his daughter and he had tried to call his daughter from the judge's phone also.
So,
Okay, so we heard this part. Crazy situation, okay? We know that they had lunch. We know that there was words between the sheriff and the judge, because the judge says, do we need to have a private conversation in my chambers? Okay. During the hearing, it's told that they didn't walk to the courthouse together. The judge went and he had some people in his chambers with him. Sheriff Stein came and said he needed to talk to the judge. So those people went into the next room and Sheriff Stein went inside. And that's when this all happened. One second. Try not to cough in your guys' ear. So then we know that Sheriff Stein said that he wanted to be treated fairly, and then told him that he was worried about his wife and child getting kidnapped. The whole kidnapping thing threw us for a loop. Absolutely, 100%. Now, I don't know if Vinny's going to talk about this. I hope he does. But one of the things that confused me thoroughly is the fact that the defense attorney asked this witness, did you take the daughter's phone? And he said no. So they did not take the daughter's phone as evidence to do a download dump of her phone. And that baffled me, especially if you know that part of the reason this happened is because the sheriff tried to call the daughter on his phone and then took the judge's phone and tried to call his daughter. Why wouldn't you do a data dump on her phone? That truly confused me.
The defense is not even saying, well, that's not him, that was somebody else. They didn't even make that argument in court. It's clear the sheriff shot the judge. The whole case is about why.
Yeah.
Let's bring in tonight's think tank. Joining me, trial attorney and fellow of the American College Trial Lawyers, Ann Bremner. Also with us, trial attorney, former police lieutenant Rick King. And finally, criminal defense attorney, former federal prosecutor Michael Sterling. Great to see everyone tonight. Ann Bremner, let's dive into this. I want to jump, like, from what you're hearing here, like, why would the sheriff's teenage daughter's phone number be in the judge's phone?
You know, and last time we talked about this, Vinny, this was one of some other theories, including, remember about a lawsuit and maybe the civil case with the rape in the chambers by one of the deputies from the sheriff. But clearly, I think, you know, we touched on it before, and now she's 15. What's her phone number doing in there? I mean, is there some involvement there? Is the sheriff in there just, I mean, he's obviously was a heat of passion. And you wondered, was it sexual? What was the relationship there? I mean, was he stalking her? Or was he, you know, in any way inappropriate with her? Because that's the kind of thing that would make any dad, you know, crazy mad. And that's what happened.
And if you're a dad and you carry a gun with you, you're very familiar, you're the sheriff. I still can't believe this happened.
I know.
But now we've got to peel back and figure out why. Rick, I want to play one more thing for you, because this part adds just another wrinkle to trying to figure it out, because these are the alleged words of the sheriff himself after he surrenders himself. Let's listen.
It's expensive. And after 25 years in the Army, I'm not rich.
I wasn't present, but when he was taken into custody, I was told by one of the other officers that were there that he made the comment, they're trying to kidnap my wife and kid.
Okay.
I don't know if you
So the daughter's number is in the judge's phone, Rick King, but then the sheriff, when he gets arrested, says they're, not they're trying to kidnap not just his daughter, but my wife and my daughter. What is going on here?
I wish I could tell you, Vinny, but one of the things about preliminary hearings is that they are always a characteristic is they are intentionally vague. The officer that they call to testify has
It was Sergeant
information.
Schultz. I know nothing. Like you're the lead investigator. It's 2 weeks into this thing, and you know nothing. Like the local reporter from the paper apparently knows more than the lead investigator. I find that ridiculous.
Yeah, he didn't want to say
it's intentional, but it's intentional.
But I think it's ridiculous. He knew more.
I agree. But they intentionally shield him, or he does not disclose everything that he knows in an effort to hold back from the defense lawyers what's actually going on in the case. He knows. One of the things that I question is that he used the words. He called from his phone, and then he tried to call from the judge's phone. Well, did that phone call connect? Was there something that happened? I'd like to know that. But they don't tell us.
I know nothing. Michael Sterling's too young. He doesn't remember Hogan's Heroes.
What they got from that witness, they had to
Michael, could there be, and this is, I'm looking, is there a lot more potentially to this if he's saying they're trying to kidnap my wife and my daughter? I mean, we already know there's something rotten going on in Letcher County inside the judge's chambers with inmates being sexually assaulted, okay? So, I mean, anything's on the table right now in Letcher County. Exactly. Anything. I hate to say it because there are probably tons of good people there living great lives, but there's something rotten. Could there be more to this?
Yeah, Benny, you can take some context clues from the way the defense attorney was questioning the lead investigator. When he was asking him, hey, was there anybody within listening distance who would have heard what happened just before the shots were fired? And he says, yes, there were some people who heard something, but I haven't been involved in those interviews. I haven't spoken to them. I don't know exactly what they're going to say they heard. Again, being intentionally vague, because if they had something to offer that could potentially mitigate this probable cause hearing, they're shielding the lead investigator away from that information because they want to make sure they get the necessary probable cause. But it does seem like something more obviously is going on here. And, without speculating, you can take context clues from the way the defense attorney was questioning the lead investigator. The questions he was asking about the phone, did it connect? Was the phone number in there? Basically, and defense attorneys don't ask questions they don't already know the answer to. He knew the number was in there. Yep. He knew, his client probably told him. So he knew, there was something more here. And so if you take just those context clues from the cross-examination, we know there's a lot more about to hit the fan in Letcher County.
Yeah, the sheriff knows everything. Like he's the one person on earth who knows the most about what happened inside the chambers and why this all happened. He knows. But let me go on a completely different approach to this, Ann. He's saying they're trying to kidnap my wife and daughter. Is it possible that there was something happening, but maybe there's a moment of him being delusional? That he believes there's some conspiracy? That maybe there's some level of mental illness with this judge, thinking that someone's trying to kidnap his wife and daughter, taking things out of context and putting them together in some strange way? Is that possible? Because otherwise, there's somebody else out there who's trying to kidnap his wife and daughter.
I don't think that's the case because as you go through the hearing, they specifically asked this guy, have you checked his social, meaning the judge's social media accounts? And boy, did that witness go in a roundabout way of that too. Didn't really truly answer that question, but said if need be, they would get appropriate warrants to get that information. So whatever happened here, they are truly trying to keep this on the down low in this pretrial hearing, this hearing for probable cause. They don't want this information to come out yet. They want him charged with the highest charge in the probable cause. Now, when we get to trial, is all that going to change depending on what comes out? Absolutely.
And the sheriff can't protect him because he's locked up.
Yeah, if he said that, so it's a puzzler, you know, saying that. Did he hear it right, you know, to relate to court? But right, I mean, could it be some kind of mental issue? Like they're out to get me, like the typical, like you see with the paranoid, you know, potentially schizophrenic, you know, saying they're all out there. Look at them all. They're coming after me. They're going to get my family.
And another reason I don't think this is a mental health case is because all of the locals have said that this is going to unravel all of the corruption in that county.
It's nothing to laugh about. I mean, it's a terrible position for someone to be in, having schizophrenia or being paranoid. But there could be something mental, and that could be also be why he decided to shoot the judge in his own chambers in front of God and everybody, and walk outside and turn himself in.
Does that make sense, Rick, as a possibility of what's going on here?
So here's my thoughts on that, Vinny. I don't think so, and here's why. Because if the sheriff thought that there was someone other than the judge who had the potential to kidnap his wife and daughter, and that's why he reacted that way. Once he shot the judge, whoever else was out there, he had the opportunity to leave that courthouse and do whatever he was going to do. But that's not what he did. He shot the judge, and then he walked out and he surrendered. And that says to me that whatever threat that he thought existed, he settled it in that room that night.
Right.
And Vinny, you can take taking context clues from the defense attorney who probably knows a lot. He said extreme emotional disturbance in his argument to the judge. He said, this is not a murder.
You have teed it up, Michael Sterling, once again, teeing up the next segment when we come back. Michael Sterling's going to break down Kentucky law for us. Don't go anywhere.
Can't wait to hear this next part, because I am hoping they are going to explain to you the different charges, premeditation, all that good stuff.
If there is an issue as to extreme emotional disturbance, then there has to be some evidence that would rebut that. And specifically when I asked the witness today if there was any evidence to rebut that this occurred as a direct result in the moment of this observation, if I have none at this point, and I give it's just probable cause, but I think they've established probable cause for manslaughter first and not murder. Because I've heard nothing that indicates that this is not, an example of an extreme emotional disturbance relative to the phone.
That was the argument from the sheriff's attorney trying to explain to the judge that the only thing that they've shown probable cause of here is manslaughter, not murder. Why is he saying that? Because that's what this case is going to be about because of Kentucky law. Take a look at the murder statute. A person is not guilty of murder if he acted under the influence of extreme emotional disturbance for which there was a reasonable explanation or excuse, the reasonableness of which is to be determined from the viewpoint of a person in the defendant's situation, under the circumstances as the defendant believed them to be. You got to put yourself in the shoes of the accused, in the shoes of the sheriff. Manslaughter in Kentucky. A person is guilty of manslaughter when he or she causes the death of such person or of a third person under circumstances which do not constitute murder because he or she acts under the influence of extreme emotional disturbance. His state of mind at the time. Big difference between murder and manslaughter. Murder of a public official, you could get the death penalty. Manslaughter, you could get 10 years.
Right.
Let's bring back in the think tank Ann Bremner, Rick King, Michael Sterling. Michael all over it. He knows what's going on here, the professor. Take what's happened here, what we seem to know, And how is your analysis of what this case is and what happened and what the appropriate verdict would be based upon what we know now?
So it's the question becomes the reasonable explanation or excuse, Benny. So we have to ask ourselves from what the defendant knew at the time. So what we know so far is that the sheriff believed that his daughter was in imminent danger, that his wife was in imminent danger, and that somehow this judicial officer was responsible. That's what we know so far. We know that the phone number of the sheriff's daughter was on the judge's phone. So we know that he reacted to that. So when we take just those facts that we know, there's already been established at least a prima facie, on its face case of extreme emotional disturbance and affirmative defense to the murder charge, to try to at least start down the road of manslaughter. So I think there's already at least some basis that's been established for that. For them to look at the lesser offense of manslaughter based on extreme emotional disturbance.
Yeah, and looking at that, I mean, to me, that seems to be what this case is going to be about. It's about the why, and it wasn't fully fleshed out on purpose by Sergeant Schultz today. We know that, but it's going to be about this sheriff and what exactly is this connection to the daughter, his wife, and the kidnappers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love Professor Sterling's great explanation and analysis as usual. Yeah, I think it's textbook, don't you think? I mean, it's like extreme emotional disturbance. I mean, if he didn't have a gun right then, he probably just would have hit him in the face. But he had a gun, and he shot him. And he kept shooting him, didn't he? In the video, he goes,
shot
the judge is cowering, gets shot a bunch, then he goes to the door, and he's going to leave, and then he's like, I'm going to shoot you again. I mean,
well, that's because he saw him
that seems
around.
To me to be a great argument for the defense at this stage.
Rick, how important is it at what moment the sheriff in his own mind, because we don't know the truth of any of this, is putting these pieces together that is creating this alleged emotional disturbance?
I mean, that's huge because what we know is at some point the judge said to him, do we need to talk in private? Right. They go back to his room and then he looks at his phone, calls, then he looks at the sheriff's phone, makes some phone calls, and we don't know what happened and all that, but it was the culmination of all those things that created this whatever reaction in the sheriff to feel like whatever took place and whatever was evolving on those phones was placing his daughter, his wife, somewhat in some sort of situation where he felt as though if he didn't do what he did, that they were in harm's way. And what I think is very significant is it's the state's burden to prove the lack of that severe emotional disturbance. So the state has to prove that he lacked that in order to stop him from doing that. And I think that they're going to have a difficult time based on what we know right now.
And I believe that is why the state left out the beginning portion of the video. What they showed made it seem like this sheriff in cold blood just gunned down and executed this judge. And according to what we saw in that portion of the video, that would warrant a first-degree murder charge. But I do not believe that that is going to hold up once all these reports come out and we are told what was on those phones.
Well, Michael, okay. Now the big question. Does he have to get on the witness stand to tell the jury what was going through his mind as the jury watches this video of him basically executing the judge?
The question becomes, Vinny, is it depends, right? So go back to the civilian employee who has volunteered her phone with the civilian employee of the sheriff's office who's volunteered her phone, who says there's all these text messages and exchanges that she's running to the defense of the sheriff and says, y'all need to know about this. When we figure out what's on that phone, when we figure out what might be on the judge's phone, when we figure out sort of those things, I think, depending on what's on those phones, a jury can definitely get into an inference of what was going through the sheriff's mind at the time, and you can make the argument without necessarily putting him on the stand, especially if you can demonstrate he had knowledge of what was on those phones and those text messages, those exchanges, those communications. If you can demonstrate without putting him on the stand he had knowledge of those things, the jury can get to an inference of extreme emotional disturbance without him taking the stand.
That is true. I never thought of that. Depending on what those messages say, they may not have to put him on the stand.
And Bremner, do you believe that the Commonwealth of Kentucky will seek the death penalty for the murder and execution of a public official?
No, I just don't. I mean, under these circumstances, you kill a judge, you should get the death penalty, but this is a very bizarre case, and it's starting out basically leaning in the opposite direction to a death penalty case.
All right, big thank you. This is a big case. It's we learned a lot more today, and we really understand it better because of Ann Bremner, Rick King.
Okay, they go on to
the big board and
other things that I'm not going to show. I have to figure out how to fix the members only live, because yes, we are going to talk about P. Diddy. But tonight we're talking about the sheriff and the judge. Now, after seeing all of that, I am curious. I'm going to be looking at your comments. What do you think? Do you think this has anything to do with this lawsuit against the sheriff now? Or do you think this is personal and has something to do with his family? And what did he mean by they're trying to kidnap my wife and daughter? So let's see what everybody's been saying. Let's see. So the sheriff thought the judge had essayed his daughter. Now that is what the rumors were from the local townspeople. That is what they were stating. The sheriff got a KK outfit on. I don't know. The detective doesn't seem to know all he needs to know. That, I would say, is false. He does know a lot more, but he absolutely did not want to give those details. Not in this hearing. And he should have known that the defense attorney was going to bring all that up. So he basically just vaguely said what he had to answer the defense attorney's questions. And like I said, I've heard the daughter is 17, but that lady on the show said 15, so I'm not sure. So it depends on what the legal age of consent is in Kentucky. Lollipop said, I believe there's more to this besides the judge and daughter. Yeah, because the whole thing of they're trying to kidnap my wife and daughter doesn't make sense to me. That is what's throwing me off. Feels personal, absolutely. So CJK, from everything that we know and that I have heard, no, it was not the deputy and the sheriff doing the essaying in the chambers. It was just the deputy. He was tried and convicted for all of this. That victim is now suing the sheriff, stating that he did not do anything to stop it and that he didn't train his people well enough. Oh, my computer froze on me here. Oh, long white shirt. Okay. In Michigan, it's 16 unless one of the people is in authority figure. Now, this would definitely be an authority figure. So we're going to have to wait and follow up on this and see what happens. Because now that it's going from the circuit court to the trial courts, there's going to be more hearings and everything. And we'll have to see when this goes to trial. We're definitely going to keep following up on this case because it just doesn't make sense. You know, it doesn't make sense why these rumors came out immediately afterwards and why the public was saying one thing, but other people were trying to spin it and point to this lawsuit instead. And now here in the hearing, we absolutely hear it had to do with something with the daughter and his family. 16 in Kentucky? Okay. Well, in the beginning, it was a rumor. Okay, so in the beginning, local members of the community came out and said that this had to do with the judge essaying the minor daughter. That's why we say rumors, okay? But then this hearing happened, and in that hearing, you clearly heard the Kentucky officer, state police officer, state that the sheriff tried to call his daughter from his phone, and when she didn't answer, he took the judge's phone and dialed the daughter. Now, we don't know if she answered or not at that point. We haven't gotten that far in the information. So, what was thought to be rumor has some truth to it. And all of the local community members have stated in comments underneath videos and articles that I've read that this is going to bring out and show big time corruption in Lecter County. So, like I said, we're going to have to follow this one because it's not making sense. Like I said, they're trying to kidnap my wife and child now are throwing me for a loop. Why? It may not have anything to do with essaying the daughter, but it may have something to do with somebody threatening his family. We're going to have to wait and see. crazy, crazy. But that's where we're going to end it for tonight. Sorry the members only didn't work. I will figure out what is wrong and fix it. And like I said earlier, I do plan on talking about the P. Diddy and the Hollywood situation. And that will be on a members only live because there are so many things that need to be said that cannot be said on regular YouTube. It's sickening and heinous and downright so inappropriate and wrong. And I just can't say enough how bad it is. And it's not just him. So, no, I did not look at my email. I will look at it after this. But join me tomorrow. We're going to go over all of the documents that have been released from the Delphi case in the past week. Because I haven't had a chance to do that on this channel. So, tomorrow night is Delphi. Friday night, I will be spending it with my daughter at her college, and I'll be home Saturday night in order to do a live stream of the 22nd anniversary of the death of Tabitha Shuck Raines. We have a vigil every year on the anniversary that she was found, and they will be doing that from Tipton City Park on Saturday. I won't be able to be there, but I do have somebody calling in so that we can see and hear what is going on there in the park. So join me tomorrow and join me Saturday. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night. Thank you for watching Beyond the Evidence. Today, I gave you my own opinions and analysis, but I always encourage you to do your own research and form your own conclusions. If you're interested in true crime and want to join me on this journey of discovery, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of my uploads. If you'd like to support the channel, join our membership, and if you have any suggestions for cases that you want me to cover, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and remember, justice matters. This is Beyond the Evidence, and I'll see you in the next video.